Harold Hillman is from the Sigmoid Curve Consulting Group, and he's here to talk to us about basically not getting burnt out in this virtual world. G'day, how you doing there? Harold, are you there?
Oh, man.
G'day, mate.
Yes.
It's been ages.
How are you? It has been ages.
I know.
How you tracking well?
Oh, no, look, I'm not really. I just can't. If someone, look, I tell you what, if someone suggests going on a Zoom meeting, I almost pretend I'm sick. I phone in sick for the day. I can't stand them. So over.
Wow. Yeah. What I have discovered is that I'm doing nearly twice as many meetings virtually that I would do face-to-face, and a number of my clients are as well. So, like, there is, even though there are many upsides to working virtually, one of the things that people really should keep their eye on is whether or not they are actually sitting in front of that computer on Zoom meetings between 8 to 12 hours every day.
You know, I'm very lucky in my real job. We're being told to take time off. In fact, they've said take a couple of hours off, which is, I guess, traditionally all your breaks all rolled into one. Don't really take breaks these days, though, but I just find, like you say, otherwise you're sitting there from first thing to last thing in your underpants with a dress shirt pretending to be working, and you do get pretty burnt out because you've got to concentrate, because all of a sudden they'll say, Roman, what do you think? And I go, I don't know, I was asleep.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. Look, people really do need to give their psyche and their body a chance to breathe during the day. And so this idea of back-to-back-to-back virtual calls where you're sitting in a bedroom, in some cases even a garage, and just on constant calls, it is starting to build up. In the first 2 weeks, there was this, there was the adrenaline. We were all working in a new world. Everybody was pumped up. It may even have been a degree of I don't know, excitement, or not excitement, but you know what I mean. There was adventure. It's something, we were all on a new adventure that we've never been on before, so let's work our way through it. Yeah. And then on that third week and fourth, and especially last week, I started to feel it personally. A number of my friends have as well as clients, and that is people are getting tired. People are starting to burn out a bit.
I think I've been busier in the lockdown than I was before, and I travel quite a bit for work, and I was thinking, this is going to be great. I can just sort of take it easy, but it has been busy. How do you recognise just working hard compared to what burnout is? What are the differences?
It's usually around this time of the year, May, June, halfway point in the year, where I recommend that people, and certainly leaders who lead teams and have to have a certain degree of energy, that they be real purposeful about resilience, because burnout is real. It is an actual syndrome that impacts a number of people, and it's the three main dimensions, Roman, are a person who starts to feel physically exhausted. Because they literally are like pressuring their brains 12 consecutive hours with actual no break. There is a sense of negativity and cynicism that also correlates with burnout, where a person's demeanor, their language, their perspective, everything seems a bit negative. And then it has a real impact on your ability to do your job. And so it has the real negative impact is that people begin to perceive that you are not as effective.
How much of burnout is actually self-imposed as opposed to your boss being that person who overloads you? What causes burnout?
A part of it is self-imposed. There are people who put a lot of pressure on themselves to be perfect and to deliver everything at 100%, and as opposed to the 80% rule. And so, there is a correlation between burnout and people who really do need to have everything lined up perfectly. So I would just say that there is to relax a bit around burnout means that you accept that you cannot control everything every minute of every day. So to your point, a big part of it is psychological. And then there's just other factors in terms of of being able to get enough sleep. People who with burnout begin to experience cognitive problems because they're not getting enough sleep. Their judgment slips a little bit. It has, as you can imagine, a ripple effect, which is why I often use the expression, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Mm-hmm. Well, at work, often we put on that brave face. We don't want to be showing any sign of weakness because we want to pretend that we're coping. But those of us who have people around at home will know, they can see you burning out. What are the symptoms of burnout?
So the symptoms are just a person who looks tired, a person who doesn't seem to be connected. So they're not fully present. They tend to be more inward. There tends to be frustration, anger, as I mentioned, negativity. These are people who start to just lose balance, very preoccupied with work, almost obsessed. And again, because, these people are not people who are burnt out. I've been there before a few times in my life, where, your thinking is a bit more muddled, or your judgment isn't spot on like it normally is. And so, it's important for people who feel that they're at that edge right now to really build in, even if it's a half hour, around noon or midday, around 3 or something like that, where you just unplug and relax and, lift your perspective up and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think, one thing I've heard a lot of people doing is drinking a lot of coffee or just drinking alcohol from sort of midday onwards. A couple of things that probably aren't very wise to do, I guess.
Yeah. So as we talked about it a few weeks ago, the level of anxiety is up clearly, particularly in terms of people who've been directly impacted by this financially, and so many other factors around it. So it is important. It's really important for people to get into a routine. There's a tendency when you're anxious to overeat or overdrink or over anything that tends to numb the angst. And so what I have really been recommending to people over the last few weeks is get into a routine. Structure helps. Give your psyche and your body a chance to breathe during the day. And stay away from the refrigerator as much as you can.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a funny thing. Sometimes for a break, I'll just get up, walk to the fridge, open it, and stare into it aimlessly.
That's right.
Thinking, what can I eat that doesn't need cooking? I'm not even hungry half the time. It's so silly.
It is so true. It is so true. Oddly enough, my refrigerator has never been fuller than over the last 5 weeks. And so I'm trying to practice what I preach, which is a routine helps. I actually, Roman, have lost weight during the pandemic.
Oh, brilliant. That's good.
About 5 kgs. I've been walking 90 minutes every day.
That's fantastic. Harold Hillman with us here, our life coach and executive coach from the Sigmoid Curve Consulting Group. So, finally, how do you get on top of this burning outness?
Well, again, part of it is just perspective. And when we start to feel tired, when we're anxious, when we're stressed out, we tend to go inward and downward. We become insular in our thinking. And so one thing around burnout is to be able to lift your perspective back up and out. The energy is completely different. And it tends to give you a broader view on things as opposed to being pulled down into a black hole. And then the other thing is just rest. Get rest. You have to sleep. You have to, plug into things that energize you rather than just work. And for many people, work energizes them, but you know what I mean.
You got to get the balance right. Harold, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm at www.sigmoidcurve.com.
Lovely. Always good to catch up with you, even if you are skinny and getting skinnier.